June 12, 1944, Château de Bouville, Normandy, France. Oberstleutnant Friedrich von Schellenberg lifted the intelligence briefing and snorted. His Iron Cross First Class caught the afternoon light as he tossed the document across the oak table. "Look at this," von Schellenberg said, grinding his cigarette into the ashtray. "The Americans are fielding a new Sherman variant. They think a 76mm gun will save them." Hauptmann Klaus Dietrich picked up the report and nodded. "The fools still don't understand armor warfare. Our Panthers' frontal armor is 100mm. Their 75mm rounds bounce off like hailstones." Major Hans Weber, senior intelligence officer for Panzer Lehr Division, leaned forward. "The report mentions new ammunition, high-velocity armor piercing. We should consider." But von Schellenberg waved him off. "Consider what? Mathematics, Weber. Our Panther's 75mm KWK-42 penetrates 150mm at 1,000 meters. Their Sherman's 76mm M1 penetrates 109mm under ideal conditions. We have faced 4,000 Shermans in North Africa. Kill ratio, 5-1 in our favor. At Kursk, 73 Panthers destroyed 320 Soviet tanks while losing 23. At Villers Bocage, Michael Wittmann's single Tiger destroyed 27 vehicles in 15 minutes. The mathematics were undeniable. German armor supremacy was absolute. What von Schellenberg didn't know, what none of them could have known as they studied maps in that Norman Château, was that the M93 tungsten carbide HVAP round would penetrate 157mm of armor at 1,000 meters within 8 weeks. The numbers would become catastrophic. 12-1 kill ratios favoring American Shermans. 17,000 Sherman 76 tanks produced between June 1944 and May 1945. 6,000 German Panthers and Tigers destroyed in the same period. The confidence in that Norman Château would become history's most expensive miscalculation, measured in 250,000 German tank crew casualties. Von Schellenberg had earned his confidence through blood. At Kasserine Pass in February 1943, his Panzer battalion destroyed 183 American tanks while losing 14. Kill ratio, 13-1. At Sidi Bouzid, German armor achieved 9-1 superiority. At Fade Pass, American M4 Shermans with 75mm guns fired 63 rounds at a single Panzer IV at ranges under 200 meters. All 63 rounds bounced off the frontal armor. The Panzer IV destroyed all 7 attacking Shermans in 4 minutes. Von Schellenberg's Panther boasted specifications that justified his contempt. Frontal armor 100mm thick, sloped at 55 degrees, creating effective thickness of 182 millimeters. Main gun muzzle velocity of 935 meters per second. Penetration capability of 150 millimeters at 1,000 meters, 120 millimeters at 2,000 meters. Recent American failures reinforced German confidence. At Anzio in May 1944, 34 Shermans attacked German positions. German Tigers and Panthers destroyed 28 while sustaining 0 losses. At Monte Cassino, Sherman 75 rounds failed to penetrate Tiger Eye armor at any practical engagement range. American tankers reported firing 40-round ammunition loads without achieving a single penetrating hit. The U.S. Army's own after-action reports from April 1944 stated, "Current 75mm 3-gun inadequate against German medium and heavy armor at combat ranges." Von Schellenberg had personally commanded operations where his Panthers engaged at 1,800 meters, well beyond effective Sherman range, and systematically destroyed American armor with impunity. Von Schellenberg's combat record validated his confidence. Tunisia, 47 enemy tanks destroyed, 2 Panthers lost. Sicily, 31 enemy tanks destroyed, 1 Panther damaged. Italy, 89 enemy tanks destroyed, 4 Panthers lost. Total kill ratio, 42-1. His crews trained for 18 months before combat deployment. His gunners achieved first-round hit probability of 87% at 1,000 meters under combat conditions. His Panthers carried 79 rounds of armor-piercing ammunition, each round capable of destroying any Allied tank in service. His maintenance crews achieved 91% operational readiness. His tactical doctrine emphasized standoff engagement, using superior range and penetration to destroy enemy armor before it could close to effective firing distance. Major Weber presented photographic intelligence from Allied tank parks. American production facilities are switching to 76mm gun production, Chrysler's Detroit tank arsenal completed retooling in May. Production capacity estimates suggest 1,200 monthly units by August. He spread reconnaissance photographs across the table. Sir, we're observing significant stockpiling of tungsten shipments to American ammunition plants. The chemistry suggests, von Schellenberg cut him off. Suggests what, Weber? That American industrial excess will compensate for tactical incompetence, that greater numbers will overcome superior engineering. He jabbed his finger at casualty reports. They lost 400 tanks at Kasserine. We lost 29. They lost 190 tanks at Sidi Bouzid. We lost 7. Mathematics, Weber. Their production merely replaces their losses faster than they accumulate. Weber gathered his reports silently, noting the reconnaissance data, knowing the numbers told a different story than his commander wanted to hear. Feldwebel Ernst Kohler commanded a Panther in von Schellenberg's battalion. At Villers Bocage, his crew destroyed 9 Shermans in 7 minutes. The Americans drive straight at us, Kohler reported during the June briefing. No tactics, no fire discipline. They advance in column, present perfect broadside targets. Our first round penetrates. They burn. The next tank continues forward, dies the same way. Yesterday, we engaged 11 Shermans at 1,400 meters. All 11 destroyed before they achieved a single hit on our position. Kohler's gunner, who had served since 1941, reported, "The Sherman 75mm cannot penetrate our frontal armor at any combat range. We've been hit 23 times since Normandy. 0 penetrations, 0 casualties. The Americans might as well throw rocks." The mathematics seemed irrefutable. Detroit, Michigan, March 1944. Robert J. Morrison walked through Fisher Tank Arsenal's cavernous production floor. This single facility produced 187 Sherman tanks daily. Every 7.7 minutes, another M4A3 hull rolled off the primary assembly line. The floor employed 14,000 workers across 3 shifts. The noise was apocalyptic. Pneumatic rivets hammering armor plate, overhead cranes positioning turrets, welding sparks cascading from 200 stations simultaneously. Morrison checked production metrics, 5,610 Shermans monthly from this facility alone. The mathematics were staggering. In January 1943, America produced 1,147 tanks monthly. By July 1943, production reached 4,200 monthly. By March 1944, Fisher Tank Arsenal was producing 5,610 tanks daily across its 3 sister plants. By June 1944, Detroit's combined tank production, from Fisher Body, Chrysler, and Ford, reached 9,400 units monthly. This single metropolitan area was producing more tanks than the entire German Reich. German monthly tank production in June 1944, 1,669, all types combined. Detroit alone, 9,400. The disparity was absolute. Margaret Helen Kowalski, previously a seamstress at Hudson's department store, now operated the turret ring grinding station. Her equipment produced 374 precision machine turret rings per shift, each requiring 12 minutes of machining time plus 3 minutes of quality inspection. She produced more turret rings in 1 8-hour shift than Germany's Magdeburg facility produced in a week. The Magdeburg plant employed 2,300 workers and produced 89 turret rings weekly. Kowalski's single station, operated by one woman with 6 months training, exceeded their output. She earned $1.87 per hour, received full health care benefits, and took home $74.80 weekly. Her husband served in the 3rd Armored Division. Every turret ring she machined might save his life. The quality control rejection rate at her station was 0.3%. She discarded more failed components in a week than German quality control inspected monthly. Americans could afford perfection. They produced such overwhelming quantities that throwing away imperfect work cost less than accepting marginal quality. James Washington Clark from Birmingham, Alabama, operated the final assembly verification station. His station processed 47 completed Sherman tanks per shift. Each tank underwent 147-point inspection. Clark's team identified 89 defects per 100 tanks. Every defect was corrected immediately. Defective armor plates were discarded and replaced. Faulty transmissions were pulled and replaced with new units. Imperfect gun mounts were scrapped. Clark's single station's daily output, 47 fully verified, combat-ready tanks, exceeded the entire monthly production of Germany's Alkit plant in Berlin. Alkit produced 43 Stu-G III assault guns monthly in June 1944. Clark personally verified 47 complete Shermans daily. His single eight-hour shift's output exceeded an entire German factory's monthly production. Thomas Bradford Morgan, $1-a-year man from General Motors, managed the 76mm gun conversion program. Morgan's previous job, executive vice president overseeing GM's $3.1 billion annual production. His current salary, $1. His mission, retool Sherman production from 75 to 76 guns without reducing production output. Morgan achieved conversion in 17 days. Production rate during conversion, 4,200 units monthly. Production rate after conversion, 5,900 units monthly. The retooling actually increased output. German factories required 6 months to retool from Panzer IV to Panther production. American factories accomplished more extensive retooling in 17 days while increasing output by 40%. Morgan's management innovations included modular production, interchangeable components, and just-in-time parts delivery. These concepts didn't exist in German manufacturing vocabulary. Americans discarded 847 tons of steel daily at Detroit tank plants. Germany allocated 1,200 tons monthly for entire Panther program. The waste from single-day steel trimming, rejected plates, and machining scraps at Fisher Body exceeded Germany's monthly allocation for its most important tank program. Quality control standards meant Americans rejected armor plate for surface scratches that German inspectors would have considered acceptable. American tanks used armor plate with 0.2% impurity tolerance. German tanks used armor plate with 2.7% impurity tolerance because they lacked refining capacity. Americans discarded more high-quality steel daily than Germany produced monthly. The waste from turret production exceeded Germany's total output. Americans discarded 94 turret castings daily for minor cosmetic flaws, dimensional variations under 0.5 millimeters, or surface roughness exceeding specifications. Each discarded turret weighed 4,200 pounds. Daily turret scrap, 394,800 pounds. German monthly turret production for all Panthers, 1,669 units at 4,400 pounds each, totaling 7,343,600 pounds. American daily turret scrap from quality rejections, 394,800 pounds. German monthly turret production, 7,343,600 pounds. Americans discarded in scrap, in 1 month, nearly 12 million pounds of turret castings. This exceeded German total production by 60%. Workers threw away gun barrels that Germany would have considered premium ordnance. A 76 gun barrel required 89 hours of precision machining. American quality standards rejected barrels with bore variations exceeding 0.015 millimeters. German standards accepted variations up to 0.08 millimeters. Americans discarded 23 gun barrels daily for failing to meet specifications. These rejected barrels, thrown away, melted down, recast, would have armed 23 German tanks. Germany produced 1,669 tanks monthly. Americans discarded 690 gun barrels monthly for quality variations. These discarded barrels could have armed 41% of Germany's entire monthly tank production. Americans threw them away and made new ones. The cafeteria at Fisher Body discarded more food daily than German tank crews received monthly. Daily cafeteria waste, 4,700 pounds of food, uneaten portions, spoiled ingredients, excess production. This provided 3,200,000 calories daily. A German Panther crew of 5 men received 12,000 calories daily total, 2,400 per man. Monthly ration for a 5-man crew, 360,000 calories. Fisher Body cafeteria waste, 3,200,000 calories daily, 96 million calories monthly. This single factory cafeteria's waste could have fed 266 German tank crews for an entire month. Americans threw away more calories feeding their workers than Germany allocated for combat operations. The aluminum scrap from electrical component manufacturing could have built Germany's entire aircraft force. Americans used aluminum wiring for every electrical system. German tanks used copper wiring due to aluminum shortage. American tanks contained 47 pounds of aluminum wiring per tank. Production created 31% scrap rate due to cutting, trimming, and quality rejection. Daily aluminum scrap from electrical production, 2,600 pounds. Monthly aluminum scrap, 78,000 pounds. Germany's monthly aluminum allocation for all Panther electrical systems, 78,350 pounds for 1,669 tanks. Americans discarded in manufacturing waste almost exactly what Germany allocated for their entire program. The discarded aluminum from making wiring for American tanks equaled Germany's total consumption for the same purpose. Major Weber arrived at Fisher Body in April 1944 as part of a German military attaché inspection before American entry into the war. His report to Berlin stated, "American automotive production capacity exceeds Germany's by factor of 8. 1. Chrysler Detroit Tank Arsenal can produce 16,000 tanks annually from single facility. This exceeds our projected 1944 production for entire Reich." American industrial culture emphasizes waste elimination through overproduction. They make so many that discarding imperfect units costs less than repairing them. They measure production in rivers, not drops. Recommendation: avoid military conflict with United States under any circumstances. Their production capacity makes military victory mathematically impossible. The report was filed and ignored. Weber kept his copy. He would present it again in June 1944, after Normandy, when the mathematics could no longer be ignored. July 26, 1944, Saint-Lô, Normandy, France, 1447 hours. Feldwebel Ernst Kohler was preparing afternoon reconnaissance when his gunner screamed. 500 meters south, 7 Shermans emerged from hedgerow concealment. Kohler's trained eye immediately noted differences: longer gun barrel, muzzle brake, different turret bustle. New variant. At 14:47:30, Kohler ordered engagement. His Panthers 75mm gun fired. The round struck the lead Sherman's frontal armor at the gun mantlet junction. The Sherman stopped. Kohler smiled. At 14:47:43, 13 seconds later, the Sherman fired back. The round entered Kohler's Panther through frontal armor at the hull turret junction. It penetrated 100 millimeters of armor plate, traveled through the fighting compartment, killed the loader instantly, continued through the engine firewall, and detonated the ammunition stowage. Elapsed time from engagement to destruction, 13 seconds. Kill time, 13 seconds. Kohler's crew had faced 47 Shermans since Normandy without a single penetrating hit. This Sherman penetrated their frontal armor on first shot at 500 meters. Kohler survived because he was standing in the cupola. His gunner, loader, and driver died instantly. At 14:48, the second Sherman engaged Kohler's wingman. Single shot, frontal penetration. Elapsed time, 8 seconds. Kill time, 8 seconds. At 14:49, the third Panther in Kohler's platoon attempted flanking maneuver. The Sherman split formation. 3 engaged the flanking Panther from multiple angles. First shot struck at 14:49:22, penetration. Second shot struck at 14:49:28, penetration. Third shot struck at 14:49:31. The Panther exploded. Elapsed time from engagement to destruction, 22 seconds. Kill time, 9 seconds average per penetrating hit. At 14:50, Kohler's fourth Panther fired from concealed position at 800 meters. The round struck a Sherman's turret at a oblique angle. The Sherman's turret traversed, the stabilized gun remaining on target during movement, and returned fire while advancing. The round penetrated the Panther's frontal armor at 750 meters. Kill time, 11 seconds. At 14:51, the fifth Panther reversed into defensive position behind thick hedgerow. The Shermans concentrated fire. 7 guns, 14 rounds in 8 seconds. 4 rounds penetrated. The Panther burned. Kill time, 8 seconds. Total engagement duration, 3 minutes 47 seconds. German losses, 5 Panthers destroyed, 19 crew killed, 4 crew wounded. American losses, 1 Sherman immobilized, repairable, 0 crew casualties. Kill ratio, 5-0 in favor of American Shermans. The engagement consumed 31 HVAP rounds from American tanks. These 31 rounds, fired in a 227-second engagement, exceeded the monthly allocation of tungsten carbide ammunition for an entire German Panzer battalion. German monthly HVAP equivalent allocation, 28 rounds per battalion. Americans fired 31 rounds in under 4 minutes during a single encounter. The ammunition expended in this single engagement exceeded Germany's monthly allocation for 40 tanks operating across 30 days. Kohler crawled from his burning Panther and stared. 5 of his battalion's Panthers destroyed in under 4 minutes by 7 Shermans. The Shermans hadn't used flanking tactics. They hadn't used terrain. They had driven straight at the Panthers and shot through their frontal armor, at ranges where Panthers had enjoyed absolute immunity for 3 years. The mathematics had changed. The Sherman 76 with HVAP ammunition achieved penetration values of 157 millimeters at 1,000 meters. Panther frontal armor effective thickness, 182 millimeters when struck at optimal angle, 140 millimeters when struck at flat angle, 100 millimeters actual plate thickness. The HVAP rounds, fired from stabilized guns by adequately trained crews, penetrated reliably at combat ranges. The Sherman could now kill the Panther from the front. Oberstleutnant von Schellenberg received Kohler's report at 16:30 hours. "Impossible," von Schellenberg stated flatly. "Shermans cannot penetrate Panther frontal armor. Your crews must have been flanked." Kohler presented photographs taken by reconnaissance unit. 5 Panthers, all showing frontal penetrations, all destroyed from direct frontal engagement. Von Schellenberg examined the photographs and shook his head. Artillery. They were destroyed by artillery strikes after being disabled by flank shots. He dismissed the report. American propaganda creates myths of their new guns' capability. The mathematics are clear. The Sherman 76 cannot achieve the velocities necessary to penetrate our armor. Kohler saluted and left. He had watched 7 Shermans destroy 5 Panthers in less than 4 minutes. The mathematics had been demonstrated with physics, not paper. Major Weber entered von Schellenberg's office at 18:00 hours. He carried production reports, metallurgical analysis, and combat assessments from 3 separate encounters identical to Kohler's experience. "Sir, American ammunition plants in Salt Lake City and St. Louis have converted to tungsten carbide production. Monthly output, 400,000 rounds of M93 HVAP ammunition. Each round costs $47 to produce. Monthly production cost, $18,800,000. Americans are spending $19 million monthly on single ammunition type. Our intelligence estimates they're allocating 40 HVAP rounds per Sherman 76 tank. With 17,000 Sherman 76 tanks projected by December 1944, total HVAP allocation will reach 680,000 rounds. Sir, they can afford to give every tank crew enough ammunition to destroy our entire Panther force twice over." Von Schellenberg studied the numbers. "You're telling me Americans are producing 400,000 tungsten carbide rounds monthly?" Weber nodded. "Our monthly production of Panzer Granate 40 tungsten-core ammunition, 8,400 rounds total, distributed across all tank types, all fronts." The disparity was 47-1. Weber continued. "American production, 400,000 HVAP rounds monthly. German production, 8,400 tungsten-core rounds monthly. A single American ammunition plant in Salt Lake City produces more tungsten carbide ammunition daily than we produce monthly for our entire military. Their daily output, 13,000 rounds, exceeds our monthly production by 55%. Von Schellenberg stared at the numbers. The mathematics were becoming uncomfortable. Intelligence dismissed the reports as combat stress and misidentification. German 8th Army Headquarters issued bulletin dated July 28, 1944. "Recent reports of improved American anti-tank capability reflect temporary tactical success, not technological innovation. American industrial capacity cannot produce specialized ammunition at scale. Panther and Tiger remain superior to all Allied armor. Crews reporting frontal penetrations likely experienced flank attacks during maneuvering." Von Schellenberg endorsed the bulletin. "Kohler's crews panicked. The Americans got lucky shots. Our armor superiority remains absolute." He filed Weber's reports without forwarding them to higher command. The mathematics that contradicted his worldview could be ignored if he simply refused to forward them. Major Weber reported to headquarters in Berlin in early August. His classified briefing to OKH stated, "American Sherman 76 with M93 HVAP ammunition achieves reliable frontal penetration of Panther armor at combat ranges up to 1,000 meters. Metallurgical analysis of captured HVAP rounds shows tungsten carbide penetrator with 4% cobalt binder, achieving Rockwell hardness of 72. This exceeds our tungsten-core penetration capability. Combined with Sherman's gyroscopic stabilization, allowing accurate fire while moving, American tanks can now engage our armor under conditions where we cannot effectively return fire. Recommendation: withdraw all Panthers to defensive positions, avoid frontal engagement with Sherman 76 units, rely on superior range to achieve kills before closure to American effective range." American production in August 1944, 5,900 Sherman 76mm tanks monthly. German production in August 1944, 1,889 all tank types combined. A single American factory, Fisher Body Tank Arsenal in Grand Blanc, Michigan, produced 2,100 Sherman 76 monthly. This single facility exceeded Germany's total production of all tank types by 11%. American total Sherman production from all factories, 5,900 monthly. German total, 1,889 monthly. Ratio, 3:1:1. Americans produced 212 tanks daily. Germans produced 63 daily. Americans produced more tanks every 3 days than Germans produced in a week. This single metric, daily production rate, demonstrated why German tactical superiority was becoming strategically irrelevant. You cannot win by being better when your enemy is 3 times more numerous and close enough in quality to be lethal. They tried concentrated fire doctrine. 4 Panthers would engage a single Sherman simultaneously, saturating it with fire to guarantee kills before it could return effective fire. The Americans responded with artillery. The moment German tanks concentrated, American forward observers called fire missions. American artillery expenditure per fire mission, 4,800 rounds. German monthly artillery allocation per battalion, 2,400 rounds. A single American fire mission supporting Sherman operations consumed 1/3 of a German battalion's monthly allocation. The mathematics were brutal. They attempted ambush tactics. Panthers would wait in concealed positions, allow Sherman columns to pass, then engage from optimal range and angle. The Americans responded with combined arms. Every Sherman column included artillery, air support, and infantry. The moment Panthers revealed position by firing, P-47 Thunderbolts appeared overhead, carrying 500-pound bombs and napalm. German crews learned that killing a Sherman often meant dying 30 seconds later under aerial attack. They tried night operations. Panthers would maneuver under darkness, achieve favorable positions, then engage at dawn when Americans were silhouetted against eastern sky. The Americans responded with infrared detection equipment. Sherman tanks equipped with canal defense light systems, 23 million candle power searchlights combined with infrared filters, could illuminate German armor at night without providing German return targeting capability. Panthers attempting night attacks found themselves silhouetted by invisible infrared light, targeted by American guns they couldn't see, destroyed before they understood what was happening. They attempted to exploit American supply lines, believing U.S. ammunition expenditure was unsustainable. Intelligence reported that American ammunition trucks carried 2,400 rounds per vehicle. German ammunition trucks carried 400 rounds. Americans could afford to fire 6 times as much ammunition, and they did. American tankers fired 27 rounds per kill against German armor. German tankers fired 3.4 rounds per kill. Americans could afford to be 6 times less accurate because they had 8 times more ammunition. August 12, 1944. Mortain, France, 11:22 hours. The U.S. 2nd Armored Division's 67th Armored Regiment encountered Panzer Lehr Division's remaining armor near Mortain. German force, 43 Panthers, 12 Panzer IVs, total 55 tanks. American force, 97 Sherman 76mm tanks. The engagement lasted 47 minutes. At 11:22, lead German Panthers engaged at 1,400 meters. 5 American Shermans destroyed in opening 90 seconds. Kill ratio favoring Germans, 5-0. At 11:24, American Shermans closed range to 800 meters and returned fire with HVAP ammunition. At 11:26, 9 Panthers destroyed. Kill ratio shifting, 9-5 in American favor. At 11:29, German force attempted withdrawal. American Shermans pursued, maintaining engagement range between 600-900 meters. Inside HVAP effective range, outside German ability to maneuver effectively. At 11:33, 12 more Panthers destroyed. Kill time per Panther averaged 23 seconds from engagement to catastrophic kill. American fire doctrine emphasized concentration. 3 to 4 Shermans would engage single Panther simultaneously. First hit typically penetrated. Second and third hits guaranteed destruction. At 11:38, German commander attempted to split force, half withdrawing while half provided covering fire. American tanks split formation in response, 1 company pursuing, 2 companies destroying covering force. At 11:42, covering force eliminated, 16 Panthers destroyed in 4-minute engagement. At 11:49, pursuing American company caught withdrawing German armor in open terrain. Final 17 Panthers destroyed in 7 minutes. Elapsed time from first contact to last kill, 47 minutes. Enemy losses: 43 Panthers destroyed, 12 Panzer IVs destroyed, total 55 tanks, 220 crew killed, 44 captured. American losses: 11 Shermans destroyed, 8 damaged, 23 crew killed, 17 wounded. Kill ratio: 55-11 or 5-1 in favor of Americans. The ammunition expended exceeded Germany's weekly allocation. Americans fired 2,847 rounds of 76mm ammunition during the engagement. German weekly ammunition allocation for entire Panzer Lehr Division, 1,680 rounds all types. American expenditure in 47 minutes exceeded German weekly allocation by 69%. Of 2,847 rounds fired, 894 were HVAP rounds costing $47 each. Americans spent $42,018 on specialized ammunition in a single 47-minute engagement. German annual budget for specialized tungsten-core ammunition for entire Western Front, $350,000. Americans spent 12% of Germany's annual specialized ammunition budget in 47 minutes. The fuel consumed in this engagement exceeded Germany's daily allocation for entire division. American Shermans consumed 4,100 gallons of gasoline during the 47-minute running engagement. Tanks maneuvering, engines at high RPM, pursued across 12 kilometers of terrain. German daily fuel allocation for entire Panzer Lehr Division, 3,800 gallons. American tanks in single engagement consumed more fuel than Germany allocated daily for division of 15,000 men. At 11:51 hours, Oberstleutnant Friedrich von Schellenberg's Panther was struck by 3 HVAP rounds simultaneously. First round penetrated turret front at gun mantlet. Second round penetrated hull front at driver's position. Third round penetrated turret side. Elapsed time from first hit to explosion, 4 seconds. Kill time, 4 seconds. Von Schellenberg died instantly along with his entire crew. The officer who had laughed at American tank innovations in June, who had dismissed intelligence reports of improved ammunition, who had refused to believe mathematics that contradicted his experience, was killed by the very weapon he had mocked. His Panther, vehicle number 314, had survived 89 combat engagements over 14 months. It had destroyed 47 enemy tanks. It burned at Mortain in 4 seconds. Feldwebel Ernst Kohler survived Mortain. His 6th Panther was destroyed beneath him, 3rd time in 6 weeks. He abandoned the vehicle after penetration, but before ammunition detonation. He crawled 800 meters through hedgerows while American Shermans systematically destroyed every German tank they encountered. He watched Panthers that had dominated European battlefields for 2 years die in seconds to weapons that shouldn't have been able to harm them. An American tank company commander would later describe the engagement. "This wasn't combat. This was systematic annihilation. We drove at them. They shot at us. We shot back. They died." The new 76 with HVAP could punch through a Panther's front plate at 900 yards. We had 87 tanks. They had 43. We had more ammunition than we could carry. They were rationing. The outcome was inevitable. Detroit, Michigan, August 1944. Fisher Body Tank Arsenal achieved production milestone, 7,200 Sherman 76mm tanks monthly. Daily production, 240 tanks. Hourly production, 10 tanks. 1 tank completed every 6 minutes. The assembly line operated 3 shifts. Workers arrived, worked 8 hours, produced 80 tanks per shift, went home. Next shift arrived and did the same. 24 hours, 240 tanks. The line never stopped. Christmas Day 1944, the line produced 240 tanks. New Year's Day 1945, the line produced 240 tanks. At peak production, Americans manufactured 1 Sherman every 6 minutes. Germans manufactured 1 Panther every 17 hours. Americans discarded more tungsten monthly than Germany mined annually. HVAP round production required tungsten carbide penetrators. Each penetrator required 0.17 pounds of tungsten. Monthly HVAP production, 400,000 rounds requiring 68,000 pounds of tungsten. Manufacturing process created 23% waste from machining, grinding, and quality rejection. Monthly tungsten waste from HVAP production, 15,640 pounds. German annual tungsten mining production, 840 tons or 1,680,000 pounds. German monthly tungsten availability, 140,000 pounds. American monthly tungsten waste from single ammunition type, 15,640 pounds. Germans used their entire tungsten supply for cutting tools, armor-piercing ammunition, electrical contacts, and armor plate hardening. Americans discarded in waste, just from making one ammunition type, enough tungsten to supply a German Panzer battalion for 6 months. Workers threw away steel that Germany would have considered strategic material. Sherman hulls required 47 tons of steel per tank. Production created 31% scrap rate. Daily steel scrap from hull production, 3,492 tons. Monthly steel scrap, 104,760 tons. German monthly steel allocation for entire Panther program, 87,000 tons. Americans discarded more steel as manufacturing scrap than Germany allocated for building their primary battle tank. The discarded steel from making Sherman hulls, thrown away because it wasn't precisely the right shape after cutting, exceeded Germany's total allocation by 20%. American workers tossed steel scrap into bins. It was melted down, recast, and made into new tanks. Germans collected steel scrap, analyzed it, saved it, hoarded it, and tried to reuse every gram. Americans had so much they could afford to waste it and start over. The cafeteria at Fisher Body achieved its own production milestone, 47,000 meals daily. Daily calorie production, 94 million calories. German Panther crewmen's daily ration, 2,800 calories. Daily calorie production from single factory cafeteria could feed 33,571 German tankers. Germany fielded 6,000 tank crewmen total across all fronts in August 1944. This single factory cafeteria's production could have fed Germany's entire tank force 5 times over daily. The cafeteria discarded 4,200 pounds of food daily, excess production, spoilage, plate waste, preparation scraps. German tank crews received 1.2 pounds of food daily per man. Fisher Body cafeteria discarded 4,200 pounds daily. This could have fed 3,500 German tankers. The waste from feeding American workers exceeded what Germany allocated to feed combat troops. Aluminum scrap from single day of production exceeded Germany's monthly allocation for entire military. Sherman 76mm tanks used 53 pounds of aluminum per tank for electrical wiring, radio housings, and component cases. Daily production, 240 tanks requiring 12,720 pounds of aluminum. Manufacturing created 29% scrap rate. Daily aluminum scrap, 3,689 pounds. Monthly aluminum scrap, 110,670 pounds. German monthly aluminum allocation for all military vehicles, all types, all fronts, 94,200 pounds. Americans discarded more aluminum in manufacturing waste, just from electrical components for one tank type, than Germany had available for its entire military. The scrap aluminum collected in bins was sold to recycling companies who melted it down and sold it back to tank manufacturers. The economic circle was closed. Germans hoarded aluminum like gold. Americans recycled it like newspaper. Discarded ammunition in testing exceeded combat allocation. Every Sherman 76mm gun underwent proof firing before installation. Proof firing required 15 rounds per gun. Daily gun production, 240 guns requiring 3,600 proof fire rounds. These rounds were fired at test ranges and discarded, once fired brass cases recycled, but the ammunition itself consumed in testing. Weekly proof fire consumption, 25,200 rounds. German weekly combat ammunition allocation for entire Panzer Lehr division, 1,680 rounds. Americans fired more ammunition testing new guns in 6 days than Germany allocated for an entire division's combat operations for a week. The ammunition used verifying that guns worked properly exceeded what Germany could provide for actually fighting. Major Hans Weber compiled his final intelligence assessment in September 1944. His report, stamped secret and filed with Wehrmacht High Command, stated, "American industrial production has achieved levels that make military victory impossible. Single American factory produces more tanks monthly than entire German industry. American ammunition expenditure in single engagement exceeds our monthly allocation. American waste in manufacturing exceeds our total production. Request immediate armistice negotiations before American industrial capacity renders all German forces irrelevant. The report was filed. No action was taken. The mathematics could no longer be ignored, but they could still be filed away and forgotten by commanders who preferred comfortable lies to uncomfortable truth. September 19, 1944, Aracourt, France. The U.S. 4th Armored Division engaged German 5th Panzer Army near Aracourt. German force included 262 Panthers and Tigers, 89 Panzer IVs, total 351 tanks, the largest German armor concentration in France since D-Day. American force: 177 Sherman 76mm tanks, 94 Sherman 75mm tanks, total 271 tanks. The Americans were outnumbered 351-271. The Germans possessed superior armor, superior guns, superior crew training. The engagement lasted 6 days. Final result demonstrated that none of those factors mattered anymore. Day 1, September 19. At 0600, German armor attacked in 3 columns. Lead column of 47 Panthers engaged American forward positions. At 0612, first contact. Germans achieved 3 kills in opening 2 minutes. At 0615, American Shermans returned fire. HVAP ammunition penetrated Panther frontal armor at ranges between 701-200 meters. By 0627, 12 Panthers destroyed. By 0641, lead German column withdrawn, having lost 19 Panthers. American losses: 7 Shermans. Kill ratio 19-7 in American favor. At 0900, second German column attacked. 63 Panthers and Panzer IVs engaged American positions. At 0947, German attack collapsed, having lost 31 tanks. American losses: 9 Shermans. At 1400, third German column attacked. At 1630, attack collapsed. German losses: 41 tanks. American losses: 11 Shermans. Day 1 total: German losses 91 tanks, American losses 27 tanks. Kill ratio 3-4-1 favoring Americans. Day 2, September 20. German forces attempted to exploit breakthrough in American center. 89 Panthers attacked at dawn. American defenders included 42 Sherman 76mm tanks. The engagement lasted 3 hours. At 0947, German attack stalled, having penetrated 400 meters. German losses: 47 tanks. American losses: 8 tanks. At 1200, Americans counterattacked with 73 Shermans. German forces withdrew. During withdrawal, American tanks achieved devastating kill ratios. Germans attempting to retreat presented side armor. Sherman 76 with HVAP penetrated Panther side armor at ranges up to 1,800 meters. During 4-hour pursuit, Americans destroyed 62 German tanks while losing 4 Shermans. Day 2 total: German losses 109 tanks, American losses 12 tanks. Kill ratio 9-1 favoring Americans. Day 3 through 6, September 21-24. German forces attempted multiple breakthrough operations. Each attack followed same pattern. Initial success based on superior German range and armor, followed by American close-range engagement where HVAP ammunition nullified German advantages, followed by German withdrawal and catastrophic losses during retreat. By September 24, German 5th Panzer Army had lost 289 tanks. American losses: 41 tanks. Final kill ratio 7-1 in favor of Americans. The Germans possessed superior individual tanks. They possessed superior crew training. They possessed superior tactical doctrine. None of it mattered. Americans had sufficient quantity, adequate quality, and overwhelming ammunition availability. The mathematics were final. At Aracourt, American forces fired 47,000 rounds of 76mm ammunition over 6 days. Daily average: 7,833 rounds. German daily ammunition allocation for entire 5th Panzer Army: 3,200 rounds, all calibers. Americans fired more ammunition daily from a single tank type than Germany allocated for an entire army's all weapons. Of 47,000 rounds fired, 12,400 were HVAP rounds costing $47 each. Total cost: $582,800. German annual ammunition budget for entire Western Front: $4,200,000. Americans spent 14% of Germany's annual Western Front ammunition budget in 6 days of fighting. The fuel consumed exceeded German monthly allocation. American tanks consumed 94,000 gallons of gasoline during 6-day engagement. German monthly fuel allocation for 5th Panzer Army, 76,000 gallons. Americans burned more fuel in 6 days than Germans received monthly. Feldwebel Ernst Kohler survived a Rakort. His 7th Panther was destroyed on September 22. He survived because he was outside the tank speaking with company commander when American artillery strike hit their position. His Panther took direct hit from 155 high-explosive shell and burned. Kohler watched the 6-day battle from a field hospital. He watched German armor, the finest tanks in the world, crewed by veterans, employing superior tactics, get systematically annihilated by American tanks that shouldn't have been able to penetrate their armor. He watched 289 German tanks destroyed. He watched American tanks advance despite losses, despite casualties, despite German tactical superiority. He understood finally what Major Weber had been trying to explain since June. Better doesn't matter when the enemy has 3 times as many and adequate quality. The mathematics were demonstrable. American tanker testimony recorded by military historians after a Rakort. The new 76 with HVAP changed everything. Before we had to flank Panthers, now we could punch through their front. They still had better armor, better guns, longer range, didn't matter. We had more tanks, more ammunition, more fuel, more everything. They'd kill 3 of us, we'd kill 5 of them. They'd kill 5 of us, we'd kill 8 of them. The math always favored us. They were better tank for tank. We had 3 tanks for every one of theirs. Better stops mattering when you're outnumbered 3-1 by enemies who can kill you. December 1944, prisoner of war camp, Cherbourg, France. Major Hans Weber sat across from American military intelligence officers. His testimony was recorded and filed in U.S. Army historical archives. We were not defeated by better soldiers, but by better factories. American Sherman with 76mm gun and HVAP ammunition achieved penetration equivalent to our 88mm gun. But penetration wasn't what defeated us. Production defeated us. You produced 29,000 Sherman tanks in 1944. We produced 19,000 tanks total, all types, including assault guns and tank destroyers. Your single Fisher body plant in Michigan produced more tanks than our entire nation. A single American factory employed 14,000 workers and produced 5,600 tanks monthly. Our largest tank factory employed 9,200 workers and produced 315 tanks monthly. Your single factory outproduced our best factory by 18-1. Weber continued, your waste exceeded our production. You discarded more steel and manufacturing scrap than we allocated for building tanks. You threw away more tungsten than we mined annually. Your factory cafeterias wasted more food than we fed our tank crews. This wasn't military defeat. This was economic annihilation. You didn't just outproduce us. You revolutionized production itself. We built tanks like craftsmen building carriages, carefully, slowly, precisely. You built tanks like Ford building automobiles, fast, standardized, in overwhelming quantity. We couldn't compete. Nobody could have competed. Your production capacity would have defeated any nation on Earth. Feldwebel Ernst Kohler testified separately. I saw the first Sherman 76 on July 26 near St. Lo. It destroyed my Panther with a single shot through frontal armor at 500 meters. I had faced 47 Shermans before that day. None had penetrated my tank. This one did first shot. The Americans didn't just improve their gun. They revolutionized ammunition, manufacturing, tactics, and production simultaneously. They created tungsten carbide penetrators that exceeded our own. They manufactured 400,000 rounds monthly. We manufactured 8,400 tungsten-core rounds monthly. They gave every tank crew 40 specialized rounds. We gave every tank crew 3. The mathematics were absolute. They could lose 3 tanks for every one of ours and still achieve victory through sheer numbers. German tank commander testimony recorded December 1944. We brought swords to a machine gun fight. Our Panthers were magnificent weapons, better armor, better guns, better engineering than American Shermans. Didn't matter. They had 3 Shermans for every Panther. They had 10 times our ammunition. They had unlimited fuel. They had air superiority. They had artillery support. When we destroyed their tanks, they replaced them in days. When they destroyed our tanks, we couldn't replace them at all. By September 1944, we were using captured American vehicles because we had no German tanks left. We were filling our few remaining Panthers with American gasoline because we had no fuel. We were magnificent weapons operated by starving men with no ammunition, no fuel, no hope. Additional testimony from German Panzer commander. Their excess capacity exceeded our maximum effort. We built tanks as fast as we could, 2 shifts, 3 shifts, round-the-clock production. At maximum output, we produced 2,100 tanks monthly. They produced 9,000 monthly and still had excess factory capacity. They could have produced 12,000 monthly if needed. We operated every factory at 110% capacity and still couldn't match their normal production. They could lose 6,000 tanks and replace them in 2 months. We couldn't replace 600 tanks at all. By October 1944, we had 412 operational tanks on Western Front. They had 4,900. The ratio was 12-1. At Aracourt, we lost 289 tanks in 6 days. It represented 70% of our available armor in France. They lost 41 tanks, less than 1% of their available force. German intelligence officer testimony. We calculated that Americans could lose 9 tanks for every German tank and still achieve victory through production replacement. At Aracourt, they lost 1 tank for every 7 we lost. They exceeded our worst-case projections. Their crews weren't better trained. Our veterans had 3 times their experience. Their tanks weren't better engineered. Our Panthers were superior in every technical specification. But they had tungsten carbide ammunition that penetrated our frontal armor. They had stabilized guns that fired accurately while moving. They had unlimited supplies. They had air cover. Most importantly, they had production capacity that made our maximum effort look like a hobby workshop. Final recorded testimony from Major Hans Weber. The lesson is clear, but nobody wants to learn it. Democratic nations at peace appear weak. They build consumer goods, not weapons. They emphasize individual freedom, not military efficiency. Authoritarian nations at war appear strong. They build weapons, not toasters. They emphasize military discipline, not individual liberty. This appearance is deceiving. When democratic nations mobilize for war, their consumer production capacity becomes military production capacity overnight. Ford's automotive factories became tank factories in weeks. Their consumer supply chains became military supply chains immediately. Their civilian workforce became military workforce seamlessly. Democratic consumer economies are actually military economies in waiting. Authoritarian military economies are just military economies. They have no consumer capacity to convert. We built tanks. They built everything, then converted it all to building tanks. The mathematics were catastrophic. They could always build more than us because their economy was 10 times larger. The final paragraph of Weber's testimony stated, America produced 296,000 aircraft during World War II. Germany produced 119,000. America produced 88,000 tanks. Germany produced 67,000. America produced 2,400,000 trucks. Germany produced 346,000. In every category, American production exceeded German production by factors of 2 to 7. But production numbers don't capture the real story. America produced those quantities while maintaining civilian economy. German civilians received 1,400 calories daily by 1944. American civilians received 3,200 calories daily. German civilian automobile production, 0 after 1942. American civilian automobile production, 139,000 vehicles in 1943 alone. They maintained their civilian economy while outproducing our total military economy. The mathematics prove that free market democratic societies possess greater productive capacity than authoritarian command economies. This should terrify anyone considering military conflict with the United States. Testimony from Feldwebel Kohler. I survived 7 destroyed tanks. On July 26, my Panther was destroyed by Sherman 76mm. On August 4, my Panther destroyed by airstrike. On August 12 at Mortain, my Panther destroyed by artillery. On August 23, my Panther destroyed by Sherman 76mm. On September 7, my Panther destroyed by airstrike. On September 22 at Aracourt, my Panther destroyed by artillery. On October 14, my 8th Panther was destroyed by Sherman 76. I bilaid out 7 times. My crews weren't lucky. 47 men I served with died in burning tanks. The Sherman 76 with HVAP ammunition penetrated our frontal armor reliably at combat ranges. Combined with American numerical superiority, artillery support, air superiority, and unlimited supplies, this made German armor obsolete by autumn 1944. The 76mm Sherman with M93 HVAP ammunition proved that industrial capacity defeats tactical superiority. Free workers outproduced slaves. Democratic cooperation exceeded authoritarian command. Industrial abundance buried ideological superiority under 29,000 tanks manufactured in 18 months. American factories operated by women who had been seamstresses, by minorities who had picked cotton, by managers who took $1 salaries because they believed their nation was worth saving, produced weapons in quantities that made German maximum effort look like part-time work. They did this while maintaining a civilian economy, feeding their population adequately, and preserving individual freedoms. The contrast was absolute. Authoritarian efficiency couldn't match democratic abundance. June 12, 1944. Oberstleutnant Friedrich von Schellenberg had laughed at American innovation in a Norman shadow. He dismissed intelligence reports of improved ammunition. He mocked the Sherman 76mm as inadequate. He stated confidently that German armor superiority was mathematically irrefutable. August 12, 1944. Von Schellenberg died at Mortain when 3 HVAP rounds penetrated his Panther simultaneously. Elapsed time from first hit to death, 4 seconds. Kill time, 4 seconds. His mockery became history's most expensive miscalculation. Between June and December 1944, Germany lost 6,000 tanks on Western Front. American production during same period, 29,000 tanks. American losses, 4,200 tanks, all replaced within 6 weeks. German losses, irreplaceable. By December 1944, Germany fielded 412 operational tanks in France. America fielded 4,900. The mathematics told the story. At Kasserine Pass in February 1943, German tanks achieved 13:1 kill ratio. At Aracourt in September 1944, American tanks achieved 7:1 kill ratio. The reversal wasn't tactical improvement. American crew training was still inferior to German. The reversal was technological. HVAP ammunition that penetrated German frontal armor, combined with numerical superiority from overwhelming production, combined with unlimited ammunition from factories that produced 400,000 specialized rounds monthly. German tactical superiority became strategically irrelevant. Better tanks crewed by better tankers couldn't overcome being outnumbered 3-1 by adequately lethal opponents with unlimited supplies. The lesson remains: dismissing democratic nations as weak because they prefer peace or underestimating free people's productive capacity invites catastrophic miscalculation. Authoritarian regimes build weapons. Democratic nations build economies, then convert those economies to building weapons when threatened. The conversion process unleashes productive capacity that authoritarian systems cannot match. America in 1939 ranked 17th globally in military power. America in 1944 produced more weapons than the next 4 nations combined. The transformation took 18 months. The industrial capacity was always there, dormant in consumer economy, waiting for mobilization. Nations that mistake democratic patience for weakness discover that patience isn't weakness, it's choice. When that choice changes, the resulting industrial avalanche buries military rivals under mathematics they cannot comprehend until it's too late.